Friday, October 19th, the Lawrence High School campus celebrated its first annual Day of Poetry. The Day of Poetry was sponsored by the Robert Frost Foundation, which is a foundation in the city of Lawrence that seeks to promote the works of Robert Frost and use his work as inspiration to today's students. An all-day event, the Day of Poetry brought together students from all across the Lawrence High School campus to write and share poetry and celebrate their creativity. During the morning in the school day, there were 10 workshops that took place all across the campus on poetry writing, memoir, and short fiction. These workshops were facilitated by guest artists, presenters from the Massachusetts LEAP and Andover Breadloaf programs. There were 10 workshops in all, and over 220 students participated. In the afternoon, at an assembly in the Performing Arts Center, a large celebration of poetry took place. Over 600 Lawrence High School students from across the campus attended the afternoon assembly. A special guest, the actor Gordon Clapp of NYPD Blue fame, performed his one-man show as Robert Frost. The PFA Dance Company had choreographed and performed several poems as dance during the afternoon assembly. Two of the poems they performed were Robert Frost poems, and several were original poems written by students in Ms. Mack and Ms. Finn's ESL classes. Guest artists from Massachusetts LEAP performed spoken word poetry. The Lawrence High School Girls Ensemble sang poetry. And best of all, a group of Lawrence High School students performed their poetry written that morning during an open mic. It was a thrill to see over 600 Lawrence High School students attentively listening to their peers read poetry on a Friday afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm very excited that you're here. We're hoping this is the first annual celebration of poetry here at the Lawrence High School campus. Many of us this morning participated in poetry writing workshops, and this afternoon we have a very exciting program. First up in our program, I hope you got one of these blue programs. If you didn't, I'll go through it for you very quickly. Our first performance is going to be an actor who performs as Robert Frost. I'll introduce him in a moment. After him, the PFA Dance Company will perform, and the Lawrence High School Girls Ensemble will sing. But first, we're going to welcome Mr. Gordon Clapp. Now, as many of you know, Robert Frost, who is one of America's most beloved poets, is a graduate of Lawrence High School from the class of 1892. One of the greatest poets in U.S. history was once a student at Lawrence High School just like you. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Gordon Clapp, who is an actor who has performed in many television shows and movies. He enjoyed a 12-year run on NYPD Blue. And in the last couple of years, he's performed a one-man show as Robert Frost called This Verse Business. Last year, we took 200 Lawrence High School students down to the Merrimack Repertory Theater to see This Verse Business. And Mr. Clapp's performance was so astonishing, we hoped and asked if he could come to Lawrence High School to perform, and he has generously agreed to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like you to close your eyes and please welcome to the Lawrence High School stage, believe it or not, Mr. Robert Frost.
Well, here we are again. It's a pleasure to be back here and the ghosts to see you after all this time. There we are. I don't know just how long ago I was here, but it's a good long time ago. And if I could remember what I was last saying, I'd like to go on from there. But I've forgotten. You probably don't know that since you saw me last, I've been appointed consultant to the Library of Congress in the humanities. So I'm more dangerous than ever. But it's an honor to be here on an occasion. I like to attend occasions, be in on them. And it's nice to accept a favor like this when I know it isn't being offered out of a conscientious concern, but out of a real weakness for me and the arts, and especially poetry. You know. I've been asked over the years by teachers, how do you get children to like poetry and the arts? And I always say, on a percentage basis. Now, I know you're not children, but when I was your age, when I was 16, 17, when I came first into poetry and into the arts, I thought that everyone who could followed one of the arts. One of the arts would naturally do that, I thought. And one night on a ship, where I'd been sort of helping to load and unload, knocking about the world, an older man, took an interest in me and got me to the rail and talked with me in the middle of the night by the light of the moon and got it out of me that I was interested in the arts. And, well, he said, how interested? Well, I said, I write a little. And he said, whoa, that's a nice thing to do if you're not very well. People will ask me occasionally, where does poetry come in? See, some of you may be asking that here today, what's it all for? Does it count? When I catch a man reading my book, red-handed, he usually looks up cheerfully and says, my wife's a great fan of yours. Puts it off on the women. And I've been asked by newspapermen once in a while, why write poetry when there's honest prose to write? Well, one reason is that in poetry, as you know, you can get so many different ways of saying things that you can't get in prose. So many tones, see. I do it for that kind of play, to make all the poems sound different, and partly because men have been doing it ever since the beginning of time, as far as we can make out. I didn't start this verse business. Then, somebody will say, well, is poetry the way of saying one thing and meaning another? Yes, kind of, Well, why don't you say what you mean? Some people will, nice people they are, they'll take you by both hands and they'll say, I understand your poem, but sort of they want to know, what are you getting at? See, by that I think they mean, under what head does that come? See, under what head? Is it pessimistic or optimistic or something like that? I can't find out, but I always say to them defensively, if I'd wanted you to know, I'd have told you in the poem. We say one thing to mean that, and another besides, another plus. Always do, always have, Bible and everywhere else. The New Testament says, it says twice, this is a cheerful saying, I'll say it to you all, take it to heart. It says, these things are said in parables, in metaphors and poetry. See, these things are said in parables so the wrong people won't understand them and so get saved. And I love that because it sounds so undemocratic. And I don't know one thing in order to mean another. What's the necessity in it? What's the fascination in it? And why does Einstein have to come out from behind his mathematics and speak to us in metaphors in hopes of being understood? See? Einstein talked about the universe being like jelly or sand, charming. But all these things, the symbolism and the intimations and the innuendos and things going on all the time, aren't they? And you'd think something new had turned up in this word symbolism just to distress the children. I was shocked to hear that a grandchild of mine was told by her college teacher that once she got the hang of the college teacher's symbolism, that she would do better. And see, that scared me because I always thought everybody had to get the hang of everybody's symbolism or else we couldn't communicate. Just same when I crack a joke, if I ever crack one. Serious question. But if I crack a joke, I'd hate to say, do you get it? Worse to have, picture it at a dinner table, you're sitting there and you're talking and somebody next to you stands up and says, what he means to say is, and I can tell by certain people's faces they're trying too hard to know what I'm talking about. What do we go around with poetry for? Go around just for kindred spirits some way, not for criticism, not for appreciation, nothing but just awareness of each other about it all, see? Suppose I said this little one to you. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. Somebody asked me if that was metaphysical. And I said, yes. I say yes 50% of the time. See, the first thing about that is to take it right between the eyes, just as it is, see? And that's the ability to do that. Take it right between the eyes, like a little blow, Now, you'll see this poem very simply as I wrote it. Night, woods, dark, late, snow falling among the alders and trees, and with a little poetic exaggeration, to see the woods fill up with snow. Did they fill up? How high? See, you want to know? Don't ask me. And I've been asked such things. I've had somebody say, somebody who ought to know better, quote me as saying in that poem, the coldest evening of the year. See, now that's getting a thermometer into it. But of course, the next thing is your inclinations with it. And it's very intimating. And I don't mind that. I have a friend named John Ciardi who's told everybody what this poem means. Told me too. He says it's a death poem. He makes it out this way, and that's all right. I don't mind that as long as he lifts it higher and makes it a lovelier thing and doesn't drag it down, operating on it or anything like that. He says, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. He says that means what? Means the world, life is lovely, dark and deep, but I must be getting to heaven. See? That's what he says. And that's all right. That's pretty, isn't it? I didn't think of that when I wrote it. But the thing in that I like best, he gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. Somebody said to me once, isn't that ascribing to animals an ability that only belongs to human beings? I was in Texas when I was asked that, by a professor from New England. And I never argue myself. I just turned to somebody else, a horseman, in fact, Frank Dobie, the great horseman and Texas rider. And I said, can horses ask questions? And Frank Dobie said, better questions than most professors. I leave all that now. Well, sometimes, this next one, sometimes you write a poem they can't do that to, see? And this next one is a recent one out of my new book. It's called Away. Now I, out walking the world desert, and my shoe and my stocking do me no hurt. You see, that means so much to me because I almost never do anything but walk. I'm a terrible walker. So I've had lots of shoe and stocking trouble. I leave behind good friends in town. Let them get well wined and go lie down. Don't think I leave for the outer dark like Adam and Eve put out of the park. Forget the myth. There is no one I am put out with or put out by. Unless I'm wrong, I but obey the urge of a song. I'm bound away, and I may return if dissatisfied with what I learn from having died. That's a death poem. Straight goods. You can't do much with that one except take it. That's pretty new. Here's another old one. Shall I say birches to you? When I see birches bend to left and right across the line of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay as ice storms do. Often you must have seen them loaded with ice, a sunny winter morning after a rain. They click upon themselves as the breeze rises and turn many-colored as the stir cracks and crazes their enamel. Soon the sun's warmth makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow crust. Such heaps of broken glass to sweep away, you'd think the inner dome of heaven had fallen. They are dragged to the withered bracken by the load, and they seem not to break, though once they are bowed so low for long, they never right themselves. You may see their trunks arching in the woods years afterwards, trailing their leaves on the ground like girls on hands and knees who throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. But I was going to say, before truth broke in with all the matter of fact about the ice storm, I should prefer to have some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Some boy too far from town to learn baseball, whose only play was what he found himself, summer or winter, and could play alone. One by one, he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again until he took the stiffness out of them, and not one but hung limp. Not one was left for him to conquer. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, and so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. He always kept his poise to the top branches, climbing carefully, with the same pains you use to fill a cup, up to the brim and even above the brim. Then he flung outward, feet first with a swish, kicking his way down through the air to the ground. So was I once myself, a swinger of birches. And so I dream of going back to be. It's when I'm weary of considerations and life is too much like a pathless wood, where your face burns and tickles with the cobweb broken across it. And one eye is weeping from a twig's having lashed across it open. I'd like to get away from earth a while and then come back to it and begin over. May no fate willfully misunderstand me and half-grant what I wish and snatch me away not to return. Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree and climb black branches up a snow-white trunk toward heaven until the tree could bear no more but dipped its top and set me down again. That would be good both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches. And see, if you noticed a little line in that, that probably the Lord the muse was making me write it to get in that line. It's when I'm weary of considerations. I didn't know I was going to get that in, but something saw that I got it in. But now somebody's saying, well, that's evidently an escape poem. And I say, no, that's just a retreat poem. You were brought up in the wrong religion. But just the other day, a distinguished professor said to me, well, isn't poetry on the whole to be considered an escape? I said, no, I always thought it was a pursuit. See, that's just spoiling his figure, that's all. When I escape to upstairs, I'm escaping from downstairs. Can you do anything that isn't an escape? Huh? Why do you write poetry? Why do you whistle? Why do you sing? Is it an escape? No, it's a pursuit. I think you're after something nice, see? After something. I met a fellow a little while ago who said to me he thought he would hate to think that the universe was just a pretty bowl of flowery metaphors. That's all it is. That's all it is. I think if I had to understand myself, I would try to find out the nature of the figures, the metaphors that I used to get out of a corner, see? In a conversation, or in the general argument that's going on in politics, or in the personal, private argument you'll get into in an evening of company. And I think what I've resorted to in metaphor would probably tell my story. For instance, I say I write verse, but I have to deal with my free verse friends. And I say to one of them, when I introduce him on a platform, never mind naming him here, but I say to him, I'd as soon write free verse as play tennis with the net down. See, that's a metaphor out of athletics. A lot of my metaphors are out of farming. And so everybody's talking how we're going to turn all our weapons into tools and have no more wars. So I write a little one like this. It's called The Objection to Being Stepped On, and it's for people only who've handled rakes or hoes. A hoe is also a garden implement, At the end of the row, I stepped on the toe of an unemployed hoe. It rose in offense and struck me a blow in the seat of my sense. It wasn't to blame, but I called it a name, and I must say it dealt me a blow that I felt like malice prepense. You may call me a fool, but was there a rule the weapon should be turned into a tool? And what do I see? The first tool I step on turned into a weapon. People wonder what starts a poem. Some sort of an idea comes into your head in a curious kind of venturesome way, misty way, something you want to say that's a little different. And the great interest of all to me is making a different tune every time. That's why I don't write two in the same week. I like to keep them well separated so they don't run together in tone even. That's why I lead such an idle life. But there's a pang that makes poetry. I can feel on my heart some way, a little load that I think would make something go. I go to work. Not the name of it exactly, nothing as definite as that. I find the name as I go. I've been asked if a poem needs a title, and I say no, probably not. Emily Dickinson never put a title to a poem, and she was a great poet, a great one. She never got around to it, I suppose. She was busy housekeeping. When I begin a poem, I don't know. I don't want a poem that I can tell was written to a good end, one sentence, that's trickery, that isn't it. Poet never takes notes. You never take notes in a love affair. You have to be the happy discoverer of your end. But I write when I feel like it. Sometimes I can sense that feeling coming over me for a couple of days, and then I find I have to versify. I think the sentences and how they're to be said better than I perform them. And I perform them a good deal, I've learned to perform them. Somebody gave me $50 for it once, and I was off and running. But I never feel as good about the performance of my words as I do of my own words written on a piece of paper when everything's quiet around me. Oh, there are actors and actresses, few, very few, who've got such an exquisite reproduction of the tone of voice meant in the sentence of writing that I've worshipped them. That's something that's followed me for years, you know. I've gone to see them, to hear that, you know. My own utterance falls a little short in my mind's ear. It comes alive, I think, more in our imagination left to ourselves. But the loveliest thing about a metaphor in its solving and finding, you know, helping you find yourself, the lovely thing is it's like dawn when it comes over you, a dawning. If it hasn't that freshness of dawn, it isn't a good poem. But the glory of any poem is once you've tasted that arrival at the end, that's what makes all the difference. I'm going out to clean the pasture spring. I'll only stop to rake the leaves away and wait to watch the water clear I may. I shan't be gone long. You come too. I'm going out to fetch the little calf that's standing by the mother. It's so young, it totters when she licks it with her tongue. I shan't be gone long. You come too.
Let's have another hand for Mr. Gordon Clapp as Robert Frost. We want to thank Mr. Clapp for his generosity. He has a very busy schedule, but when he heard he had the chance to come to Lawrence to perform, he jumped on it. Next up in our program, I want to get right to it. The Lawrence High School Performing and Fine Arts Dance Company has choreographed several poems to dance in a tremendous merger of poetry and dance, putting both on equal footing. It's very exciting. The first poems are original poems that were written in Mrs. Mack's ESL class in PFA, and you will hear these original poems read and performed as dance. After that, we'll see and hear two poems by Robert Frost, Acquainted with the Night and Birches, that the PFA Dance Company has been performing and rehearsing for weeks. So, without further ado, the Lawrence High School PFA Dance Company.
It's scared to be hurt by other people's feelings. Practicing my talents. Walking in future. Taking risks, but always forward, with my face in front.
I'm a good friend that you can find, but in my inside, I'm insecure to fly. Love to help people, having fears to destroy, but in my waiting to fly, but it takes time.
Sometimes I'm hateful. I'm sensitive in the inside, and I feel strong in the outside. Sometimes I'm friendly, and almost always I'm sad. I'm waiting impatiently for the perfect person.
Sad to be at this situation. Scared to be ignored. Sitting alone. Walking in darkness. Always sad, but never crying.
I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked in and out in rain, and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street. But not to call me back or say goodbye. And further still, at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night. When I see birches bend to left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay. Ice storms do that. Often, you must have seen them, loaded with ice a sunny winter morning after a rain. I should prefer to have some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Some boy too far from town to learn baseball, whose only play was what he found himself, summer or winter, and could play alone. One by one he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again until he took the stiffness out of them, and not one but hung limp. Not one was left for him to conquer. So was I once myself a swinger of birches, and so I dream of going back to be. It's when I'm weary of considerations, and life is too much like a pathless wood, where your face burns and tickles with the cobwebs broken across it, and one eye is weeping from a twig's having lashed across it open. I'd like to get away from Earth a while, and then come back to it, and begin over. May no fate willfully misunderstand me, and half grant what I wish, and snatch me away not to return. Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree, and climb black branches up a snow-white trunk toward heaven, till the tree could bear no more, but dipped its top and set me down again. That would be good both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger.
We have a very exciting program this afternoon. With us all day today, all over campus, have been guest artists from the Massachusetts Leap Poetry Collective. They are going to be our MCs for the afternoon, and they're going to kick it off with a performance. Put your hands together. Please welcome our visiting artists from Mass Leap.
All right, so let's get into this.
Yes, I'm in. I'm ready.
All right, so up to the microphone is the one and only Ricky. Give it up for Ricky.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. All right, I want to share a poem with you guys that I wrote like 2 days ago. Is that cool? Awesome, awesome, awesome. This poem, as I was going to go see a really good friend of mine, and my car broke down. So this is a poem about that. I am somewhere on point A. You are somewhere on point B, and at this point, I just want to see you. It's the hottest day in June, and I'm sitting on this asphalt at McDonald's parking lot with my dad's friend. He shared chicken nuggets with me in homeland tongue and broken English. I have a broken steed of a car and this cup of tonic, and at this point, I just want to share my drink with you. Too busy and hurried to bother to put a lid on it. Open beverage to the open sky. The heat doesn't even bother me at this point. I guess I gave myself 2 hours of prep time for a reason. 40 miles can be easily covered in 35 minutes, but at certain times of the day, everyone in a car wants to see you too. Knowing that you're somewhere on point B talking to customers and I'm somewhere on point A becoming one. My dad and other Cambodian mechanics exchange short talk, nuts and bolts, dissects the inside of my iron stomach, pulling and turning pieces. My stomach turns like a bad alternator. At this point, I'm worried that I won't see you. These miles become dash lines and exit signs. Point B is a city we share, and point A becomes exponentially closer as I drive by dash lines on this asphalt of a highway. We both become dots on this line graph, this map of names and cities that always wants to visit each other, this dots that paints my windshield. Rain kisses the heat of my hood. It's 95 degrees, and at this point, I just want to kiss you, knowing that hitting a single bump on the road, the engine could fall out the gut of my car, but F a bump on the road. My heart dropped the first day I saw you, and I've been running ever since, running and running and running until I won't stop running, but then I will be on point B, and this line that connects us just becomes a reminder, just another story that, we're both sharing. And I finished writing you this poem in the parking lot that I'll pick you up in. I will look at you, and you will smile at me, and I'll do all of this again just for that. Thank you.
This was a poem that I wrote today in the workshop. It's called Today I Saved the World. Today I saved the world. As I walked around high schools looking for teens who needed help, I knew I would find one. Today I saved the world. I found her, and there she was crying out for help, but nobody would listen. Today I saved the world. As I talked to her, I knew how she felt. Today I saved the world. After I asked her how she felt with her voice in a whispered tone, she answered, I'm being bullied. Today I saved the world. She had to live with the constant name-calling and beatings. Today I saved the world. She was suicidal and had nobody to go to or listen to her. Today I saved the world. As I heard everything she had to say, I knew she was feeling better. Today I saved the world. I told her that all she needs to do was talk to her parents or teachers. They would help her. Today I saved the world. I told her that cutting herself wouldn't solve anything. Today I saved the world. I told her what I went through, which related to her. Today I saved the world. I promised her that I would always be here if she needed me. Today I saved the world. I'm glad I changed her way of thinking. She feels better now. Today I saved the world. Today I saved a life.
All right. This is a poem I wrote today. It's called Beautiful Knowledge. Walking on, patiently stepped upon tile and stone, as I ghostly pass you, just you. Memories yours and mine obtain piece by piece, unknowing of such emotion for quite some time now, yet I know the cause. You, dearest beauty, and realizing that your splendor is gone, it's done, and me to be left to linger on and only see an image of your beauty and glory undimmed before the breaking of my heart. Forgive me. I thought of such much more than what has become, and yet I realized it was I who was the shadow of a thorn on a single rose. And one day you shall soar away far from this place. What more could this do for you, the way it has done for me? because I never knew such emotion was capable, like I've never smiled before. Yet, with such words betrayed unto you, if you remember nothing from me, remember how bravely I fought, how fiercely I tried, how hard You asked me once, why do I continue in this knowing that you were to leave me one day? And I said, because I believe you are worth it. I should have uttered unto you, because I love you. Did you know that?
Save my soul, or you shine boy. Tell me what you see when you look through me. Tell me the truth, don't lie about it, 'cause you're the only one who inspires me to fly and break free. It's really short, that's it.
Today I saved the world, everyone were depressed. Today I saved the world and everyone had tears, not knowing what to do. Today I saved the world, people were confused with a clueless face. Today I saved the world, not knowing I have the power to make people feel positive. Today I saved the world, the air so dark, people looking at each other scared on what can happen to them. Today I saved the world, people so pale, and when I spoke, they brighten up like the sun's rise. Today I saved the world, and once I smiled, they knew there was no harm around them. Today I saved the world, I will go and tell them nothing can happen. Everyone stopped, looked at each other, all the gloominess went to excitement. Today I saved the world, and people became normal. Everyone went into place being themselves, smiling through the darkness that became the light of people's eyes. Today I saved the world, and this is all why.
Hi, my name is Karina Badia. The title of my poem is I Am. I am a loving person and friendly. I wonder how big is the moon. I hear my mom say, you go to Dominican Republic. I see my body in Dominican Republic. I want my grandmother to be here. I am a loving person and intelligent. I pretend that I am a result. I feel good when my teachers say, Karina, you are a good student. I touch the moon in my dreams. I worry about my grade. I cry because I miss my family and my friends in Dominican Republic. I am a sensible heart and a good self. I understand when my mother gives me advice. I say, you love me? I drink with William Levin on the beach. I try sometimes to understand my teacher, do my own homework and learn English. I hope that my grades are good and learn English. I am a sensible heart and good self. Thank you.
All right, before I start, I have a question. How many of you here ever feel like you're underestimated? Okay, well, the poem I wrote is called Underestimated. You underestimate me like our nation. Nationalities, languages, shapes, and sizes. All of us of the same material. Flesh, blood, and bone. But we continue to be looked down upon. We all have the potential to be something great, but you think otherwise because where we're from? Brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, moms too. They love us and care for us, but sometimes undermine our abilities and talents. Just because we look like this, or talk like that, or come from that hood, does not mean we are not able. That's a constant misconception. Pursuing things we apparently can't ever do is like chasing after the wind. The educational system look at us like the birds look at the ground, or how the constellations look at the earth. You underestimate me because of where I'm from, dropouts and drug dealers, but also scholars and diplomats. Now, can somebody please explain, because now I'm hearing two different things. We're not more, but we're definitely not less. We're not the worst, but definitely not the best. Well, at least that's what's according to you guys. We have potential, but yet you continue to underestimate us.
My poem is untitled because I never knew what to call it. The dream will come to rise. My universe will keep expanding. There is a deep craving of knowledge and understanding. I will reach and touch the skies. Knowing the unknown will bring me power. The unperceived cannot win. I am never overtaken by sin. I came to this world and climbed the tower. I am reaching the top. The show is reaching its finale. My life has come into rally. The sky is beautiful from atop. This world, I will never drop.
Right now, I want y'all to give it up for Mr. Reynolds. Give a round of applause.
Hey. Teacher, I got a question. I got a problem. Need a suggestion. Teacher, you're all I got. I need attention, so I try to get caught. Are you listening? Hidden curriculum is where we spend most of our thinking on. Teachers see the son more than his own mom, knows the daughter you thought of a lot more than. It's a war and we are fighting for the future. Every teacher, a frontline trooper. It don't help, we don't get paid what we do. Work so hard, system kicks us manure. What's the allure to this profession? Some are just destined to keep investing, but each teacher got so many students who start being rude when they lack in the rudiments. It's no secret, without needs met, you are set up for underachievement. If you got a bone in your body that's decent, listen when they start speaking. Teacher, I got a question, I got a problem, need a suggestion. Teacher, I need some help, and I can't turn to anybody else. Teacher, you're all I got. I need attention, so I try to get caught. My home is a mess, and I'm feeling so lost, so much more than the book that I need to be taught. Yo. I got students who could focus if they weren't homeless. If they weren't the ones taking care of the grown-ups who don't own up, take care of their children, who never in their life had their cavities filled in, who only eat when a free lunch is given, and everybody want to say they're headed to prison, but will amaze you should you happen to listen, should you happen to have an iota of vision, allow the release of what is held within. For every teacher, that's the ultimate mission, the aha moment where the pieces fit in. Appreciate the weight of every decision. See a future worth giving a hoot for. Tell them to set goals, give them something to shoot for. Show them the ladder, that it ain't out of reach. It's a higher calling when you're called to teach. Teacher, I got a question, I got a problem, need a suggestion. Teacher, I need some help. I can't turn to anybody else. Teacher, you're all I got. I need attention, so I try to get caught. My home is a mess and I need to be lost. So much more than the book that I need to be taught.
Thank you very much for being here for the Day of Poetry. And the message I want you to take away today is that poetry is for everybody. Poetry is what helps us get through the day. Poetry is what inspires us to live our lives.